Join me now to talk about what's been happening over the last year and looking ahead. But this first section is looking back. Tim Baker, up there from Michael.
Well, Ayre Michael.
I know you like that, don't you?
It's the whole constituency. Yeah.
We start with the COVID situation. Interesting, of course, for you because you joined the sort of Coleman team. What, in June?
That's right.
So you were on the outside first, then inside the tent. What can you tell us about that? I mean, how do you think the government's handled it?
Well, I think listening very much to the public feedback, the public is pretty content generally. I mean, clearly there are some divergent views from some people, but I think the vast majority of the public are really appreciative of the tough decisions that have been made and the way that the island has steered through this. But I would say we're not through this. We're partway through it, and the shape of the challenge is changing over time. But clearly, we've got a long way to go.
I mean, there was a lot of criticism from a lot of backbenchers that there was not enough communication, and for the media probably as well, the way that they were handling press conferences. Did that make more sense when you were inside a tent, or things had changed anyway, didn't they? It got a bit better, I suppose.
Well, I think this was a crisis. Let's make no bones about it, and over time things do change, but communication is always a big challenge. I mean, communication for government generally, I would say, is one of those areas that needs further work and further improvement. And I think in the context of COVID, it's an incredibly difficult situation and very, very fast moving. I know council was meeting at least 3 times a week in those early days, wrestling with some really big issues, and very difficult to communicate in the clearest way and as quickly and as transparently as people would want. And having seen both sides of it, I very much empathise with that when you're making decisions at pace, you have to do really well to explain those clearly and to take people with you. So I think there was criticism there. I think there was frustration from backbenchers.
Did things change though for when you were, well, probably like everyone else going, we want to know what's going on, then you get inside and was it that sort of thing going, oh wow, and no wonder we couldn't get this message out, or seeing things differently, I suppose?
I mean, of course you see things differently because you're involved at a different level, but I think I had a fairly good idea, I think, of some of the difficulties just from experiences outside in the business world or whatever, when you're managing very difficult situations, and I could see there was an awful lot of people wanting information and lots of questions, and it is just really difficult to manage that sort of situation. Okay,
well, looking back, obviously, I suppose unless you want to talk pre-getting to COVID, but I mean that was the big thing for you, surely, in June, to get this ministerialship, which you've been dying to have.
Well, that's your words, Paul.
I know, and I'm just testing you to see how you react to me saying that.
I mean, I've always said right from the start that I wanted to be in as significant a role as I could, because I believe you have more influence, and I got in, as you'll recall, because I wanted to make a positive difference to the island, and that's still my driver. And of course, it was a very rapidly changed situation for me personally, because I was only appointed as chair of Manx Utilities in May, and then to be appointed as infrastructure minister within 3 weeks was certainly not what I was expecting, but I was very very delighted to be offered it.
You know where I'm going to go next. You've been a massive supporter of the Quayle administration. You're always putting your hand up to second things and to back them up, and that's my perception. And I'm joshing slightly with you, but you were the natural candidate to take the position.
It's not for me to say whether I was a natural candidate or not. I think I've done as the best job I possibly can over the time I've been in, and I think I've taken a balanced view. You say I was a strong supporter of the Quayle administration, and I think if you look at my voting record, and that would bear that out. However, I brought some really challenging things. I was the person that brought the Notfield inquiry, which hasn't fully played out yet.
We still can't talk about that, can we?
No, because of the criminal proceedings, which I don't know where those are up to, but clearly the police and the judiciary are still engaged with that. So that leaves, to be honest, disappointment for me, because I wanted that to have been fully resolved. I was pretty vocal about the post office, and I did very, very clearly and openly challenged council ministers around their thinking around the post office, and that was only in the early part of this year. So I think I've got there's a more balanced picture than the one that you're painting, but certainly
it's perception. That's all.
Yeah, and I'm very much about getting things done. I mean, you can have an academic debate about matters, but the reality that matters to people is driving better outcomes for them, and I think you've always got to back the people who are making the decisions to at least to at least give them the benefit of the doubt until you can prove that's not right. So that's always my starting point.
Did you want DOI, or it was just that this is it? The hot potatoes now being passed on. We're moving Mr. Harmer to safer pastures.
There was no conversation about any other department. I was invited to meet the Chief Minister. Obviously, I knew Chris Thomas had departed, having that situation been pretty well documented. So I knew there was a vacancy. To be honest, I hadn't anticipated being offered infrastructure, but I was delighted to be offered
hot potato.
Yeah, but I'm in to get stuff done.
See, that's right. Okay, this is what every time I say anything like that, you immediately go, "I'm here," and you toughen up. You sort of preen yourself up there. I'm going to make the tough decisions. That's how you're being perceived now, especially when I've done some interviews with you. If I say there's some criticism about the promenade, you immediately get quite defensive about it. But you come out and you say everything's fine or it's in hand. Do you agree that's how you're coming about this position?
Well, I obviously you've got an external perspective on myself. Using words like defensive.
No, okay, that's bad. Not defensive, but you come out and you support your people and your department.
Well, at the end of the day, I am, as the minister, I'm accountable for the department's performance. So I've got to make it perform. If it doesn't perform, then that sits on my head, doesn't it? So I don't believe in washing dirty linen in public. I believe in presenting a united front and actually getting on and doing things. So if there are areas of my department that I'm not satisfied with, it's down to me to deal with those with the chief executive and with the management team. So I don't think it's right to criticise your team in public. Or indeed to point responsibility elsewhere. As the minister, you have to take responsibility.
Sure. I'll do another interview with you about other things, but just to finish with it, on this business of the DOI, I mean, you covers a lot of things.
It does.
But this business with the prom / up at the traffic lights and all sort of thing, the fold back on that, the bounce back, that's even the wrong word, the feedback, it's just the reaction from the public was strong, wasn't it?
It was very strong.
Did it catch you out in that sense, how much people don't think you know what you're doing and they know much better than you?
I think that is unfortunately one of the less positive aspects of our culture at the moment. That it's a very binary culture. It's very black and white. It's very much based on sound bites, and I think a lot of that's social media driven, and that brings a lot of challenges. And many people have an opinion, and it's good that people have an opinion. It's good that they're engaged, but actually you have to make the decisions based on the information that you have and the constraints and all the relevant aspects. And you have to be prepared to take some criticism. Right. If I wasn't prepared to do that, then I would be in the wrong job. And I knew taking the infrastructure role that you are there. The department is the one that everybody loves to criticise. The department does some many good things, but it also leaves room for criticism.
We'll talk about this another time.
Yeah.
Just to finish this section with things going on in your constituency.
Yeah.
How's it been up there?
So it's a big constituency, diverse constituency, different issues affecting different parts of the area. So, if I think about Derby, for instance, some big issues around the bus services over the last 12 months, and whereas Kirkmichael, there's the continued issue around coastal erosion. Obviously, in Ayre at the moment, we've got the much publicised expansionary desires of Ramsey, and they're wanting to transfer
land
part.
grab.
I was trying to avoid using those words, Paul, but that's the sort of headline. Yeah. So that's a big issue for constituents, and then of course you've just got the run of the mill day-to-day issues around schools, roads, health, all the things that apply right across the rest of the island, and then you overlay that with COVID and the challenges that brings for people, which are very difficult in many respects. So lots going on from a constituency point of view as well.